"Your daughter's not the favorite. The real gifts are for her cousins." My father said it like a joke, holding his glass while Lily unwrapped a broken $5 toy horse, marker scratches, one leg missing. The room exploded in laughter. Even the kids joined in. My sister filmed it like a highlight reel for her perfect Christmas. I'm Anna, 34, and at that moment I realized the worst part wasn't what they did. It was that I brought her here, knowing exactly who they were. Lily's lip trembled. My mother didn't even blink. I stood up, calm but shaking inside, picked up the expensive gifts I'd brought for my parents, and said, "I've got a Christmas gift of my own, one you'll never forget." Have you ever watched your own family break your child? Tell me in the comments. When I walked out of that house, the cold hit harder than I expected. Lily was still crying quietly in the back seat, clutching that broken horse like it was her fault. I kept driving, no music, no words, just the sound of her soft sobs mixing with the heater fan. It wasn't new. My parents had always made it painfully clear who the real family was. My sister, her golden children, my brother whenever he kept his mouth shut. I was just the worker bee, the one who showed up early, fixed the mess, made things run. I gave them time, loyalty, even money. And in return, they gave me silence. When Lily was born, I thought maybe they'd change. Maybe love would finally be stronger than their pride. But every birthday they skipped, every lie they told, it became harder to pretend. 6 birthdays in a row. 6 times Lily asked if Nana and Grandpa forgot she existed. Still, I kept trying. I told myself they were just old-fashioned, that they'd come around. That Christmas morning, Lily was glowing. She wore her favorite green dress, carried a photo she printed of her and my dad from last summer, the day he let her hold his fishing rod and actually smiled. She believed that photo meant something. The second we walked into that house, I knew it was a mistake. Everything looked staged. The fake cheer, the perfect decorations, the mountain of gifts stacked high in front of my sister's twins. No one said hello. No one even looked at my daughter. Lily sat beside me on the edge of the couch, that photo clutched tight in her hand. She waited for kindness, for belonging, and I waited with her. When my dad finally said, "She's not the favorite," the room laughed, and something inside me broke wide open. Not because of what they said, but because Lily looked up at me like she was waiting for me to fix it, and I couldn't. That was the moment I realized I hadn't just brought her to Christmas. I'd brought her into the fire. Back home, I tucked Lily into bed. She cried herself to sleep, still holding that ugly, broken toy. I sat there for a long time, staring at the ceiling, feeling something twist inside me. Anger, yes, but also shame. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't the first time I'd let them hurt us. My parents' business had been my cage for years. I ran their operations, handled clients, managed crises, everything they were too busy or too proud to do. I wasn't an employee. I was a lifeline they refused to acknowledge. They called it family duty. I called it survival. After that Christmas, something in me changed. I stopped answering late-night calls, stopped fixing every mistake. When my dad yelled, I stayed quiet, but not because I was scared. Because I was planning. I started saving, quietly. Every bonus I earned, every client who trusted me more than them, I built a little fund, a way out. I took online courses at night, studied business law, accounting, marketing. My parents thought I was just being obsessive again. They didn't realize I was studying their playbook, every flaw, every shortcut, every unethical deal they'd ever justified. It took a year, a whole year of pretending. Smiling through meetings, taking notes, building contacts. Meanwhile, I was designing something new, a company that did everything theirs didn't. Transparent, fair, human. The turning point came one night when Lily asked, "Mom, are Nana and Grandpa ever nice to little girls?" I froze. She wasn't angry, just curious, like she was asking about a fairy tale gone wrong. That's when I promised myself she'd never cry in front of them again. By December, I had everything ready. An investor, a name, a launch plan. I told no one, not even my brother, though I suspected he already knew. He'd seen the exhaustion in my eyes long before anyone else. Then came Christmas Eve. My mother sent a message. "Don't forget to bring dessert tomorrow." No apology, no acknowledgement of last year. Just entitlement wrapped in politeness. That night, I stared at the message and typed my reply. We'll be there. Because sometimes you have to walk into the fire one last time, not to burn, but to make sure it never touches you again. Christmas morning came again. Same house, same fake cheer. My mother greeted us with that too wide smile, the kind that hides something sharp underneath. My sister was already filming, her twins screaming with excitement in front of another mountain of gifts. But this time, I wasn't hoping for anything. I was documenting, watching, measuring every smirk, every glance. When Lily sat down next to me, I saw her hand tremble. Maybe they'll be nicer this year, she whispered. I wanted to believe her. I didn't. Then it began. The cousins tore through gifts worth hundreds. New iPads, sneakers, jewelry, bikes. Even the dog got a designer collar. And when it was Lily's turn, my mother looked confused, dug under the tree, and handed her a small, crumpled bag. Inside was that same $5 plastic horse. One leg glued back on, marker stains still there. My dad laughed. "Recycled gift," he said. "You should be proud, Anna. She's learning to appreciate the simple things." Everyone laughed again, except my brother. He stood up, voice trembling with disgust. "You're humiliating a child," he said. "Do you even hear yourselves?" My dad barked back, "Sit down, don't ruin Christmas." But it was already ruined. Lily's tears came fast. She ran to the hallway, hiding her face. I followed her, knelt beside her. She looked up, eyes red and wet. "Mommy, maybe they gave me the wrong one again?" I whispered, "No, sweetheart. That's all they had for us." She cried harder, small shoulders shaking, and that's when I knew. I was done being their punching bag. 20 minutes later, the laughter in the living room died down. My mother cut cake. My sister posted photos captioned "Family First." I walked back in, calm as a storm before it hits. Picked up the 2 beautifully wrapped gifts I'd brought for my parents and slid them back into my bag. My dad frowned. "What are you doing?" I looked him straight in the eye. "Giving you my gift." They went quiet. "I quit," I said. I won't be working for you anymore." They laughed at first, thinking I was bluffing. My father smirked. "You wouldn't last a week without us." But then I told them the truth, that I'd spent the last year building something on my own, that my investor had already signed, that I wasn't just leaving, I was competing. Head on. My mother's face drained of color. "Why would you do this to us?" she whispered. I said, "Because you stopped being us a long time ago." My sister snapped, "You're jealous, just because my kids—" I cut her off. "Your kids get rewarded for breathing. Mine gets humiliated for existing." My brother stood behind me now, silent but solid. And when he picked up Lily, still holding that broken horse, he said softly, "You should have done this years ago." And he was right. The week after Christmas was silent, the kind of silence that buzzes, like the air before lightning hits. No calls, no emails, no angry messages. I almost thought they'd finally decided to let me go. Then, on New Year's Eve, a text came from my mother. "We should talk soon. Family shouldn't let money get in the way." Money. That word told me everything. It was never about love. It was about control. By January, my company was alive. My investor, a sharp, grounded woman named Evelyn, helped me secure an office space downtown. Within 3 weeks, I had a team of 3, 2 former employees from my parents' firm, and 1 designer I'd met at a networking event. Every day we built something from scratch. Something clean, something honest. And it worked. Clients started calling. Not random ones, familiar ones. People who had been with my parents for years. They said things like, "We always knew you were the one holding everything together. You were the only reason we stayed." I didn't poach them. I didn't beg. They came because they were tired. Tired of the arrogance, the manipulation, the favoritism. By February, I'd heard whispers. My parents were losing contracts. Their longest-standing client had pulled out without a word. My brother confirmed it. "They're panicking," he said quietly. "Mom's pretending it's a market shift. Dad's blaming everyone but himself." A week later, an envelope arrived at my office. Gold-trimmed, handwritten. "Family dinner, February 10th. Let's reconnect." There was no apology, no mention of what happened. Just that fake, sugary tone they used when they needed something. I wasn't going to go, but my brother called that morning. "They invited me too," he said. Something's off, be careful. So I went. When I arrived, my mother looked dressed for a business pitch, not a reunion. My father sat at the head of the table, glass in hand. My sister's smirk could have cut glass. They made small talk for 30 minutes. Vacations, markets, how's little Lily? Not a word about Christmas. Then my dad leaned forward. "We've been reflecting," he said. "We realize now how much you contributed. We want to fix things. We're offering you a partnership, equal stake." My mom jumped in. "We miss you, honey. We miss Lily. Family doesn't always get it right, but we're trying." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable, so rehearsed. I looked at them all and said, "You're not offering peace. You're offering rescue." My sister scoffed. "You think your little company scares us?" I pulled out an envelope and slid it across the table. "No, I think this will." Inside was a buyout offer, real, legal, and generous. A clean exit for them to sell everything and walk away with dignity. My father's face turned red. "You're trying to erase us." I said, "No, I'm trying to stop pretending you built this alone." My mother started to cry, asking, "Why would you do this to your own family?" And I told her, "Because you stopped being family when you laughed at my daughter." Then my brother stood, calm but firm. "She's offering you mercy," he said. No one spoke after that. I left them sitting there, pride shattered, wine spilling across the tablecloth, and walked out into the cold night. That was the last time I ever walked into that house as their daughter. The following weeks passed quietly, too quietly. No apology, no "we're proud of you," just digital silence. But silence can be healing when it used to sound like chaos. By March, our company was thriving. My brother joined officially, running operations like he'd been waiting his whole life to breathe. He told me one morning over coffee, "It's strange. I wake up and don't brace for Dad's calls anymore." I smiled. That's what peace feels like. Lily was healing too. Her laughter started to return in pieces, a little at breakfast, a little before bed. She drew pictures again, ones that didn't have broken hearts in the corners. Then, one night, she looked up from her crayons and asked, "Mom, do you think Nana and Grandpa will ever be nicer?" I didn't lie. "Maybe," I said. "But it's not our job to wait for them to figure it out." She nodded and added her stuffed bunny to her drawing. "Our family's better now," she whispered. And she was right. Better, not bigger. Because this time, it was built on love that didn't have to be earned. A few months later, we signed a major client, one that used to belong to my parents. I didn't feel revenge. I felt release. Evelyn, my investor, just smiled and said, "Legacy doesn't matter when you're building something with heart." That night, I poured a glass of wine, looked out the window, and realized I didn't need closure. Walking away wasn't an ending. It was freedom. So if you've ever stayed too long in a family, a job, or a story that keeps breaking you, take this as your sign. You're not walking away from love. You're walking toward peace. If this story hit home for you, leave a comment. And if you believe healing starts with self-worth, like this video and subscribe, more stories like this are coming.